Brian Thomas Jr. isn't just a flashy name or a reaction to Jeudy's decline. He's a product of Monken's laser-focused strategy to unlock Shedeur Sanders' full potential. The rookie quarterback's arm strength and pressure poise demand more than route discipline. They require dynamic threats who can create separation when contested catches and stretch safeties. Jeudy, for all his technical strengths, couldn't consistently deliver in those situations. That wasn't his fault. It was a system mismatch. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. But for Monken, misalignment at the receiver spot wasn't something to work around. It was something to fix. And fix it he will, with Thomas Jr. at the center of the plan. His collegiate connection with an elite quarterback in Jayden Daniels gives Monken confidence in his immediate fit with Sanders. This isn't guesswork. It's calculated projection. Even Thomas Jr.'s late-season dip in Jacksonville has a context. Shane Waldron's chaotic system, which reportedly damaged receiver morale and usage. Monken sees that not as a red flag, but a window. Get Thomas Jr. into a stable, QB-centric offense, and his ceiling skyrockets. This isn't just a WR swap. It's Monken signaling that the Browns' timeline has changed. It's win now, build fast, and surround Sanders with nothing but weapons. It's official. The Cleveland Browns are done playing it safe. The second Shedeur Sanders earned that Pro Bowl selection, the entire tone in the Browns organization shifted. What started as an optimistic experiment with a fifth-round rookie just turned into a full-scale recalibration of priorities, system, and culture. And at the center of that transformation is Todd Monken, making moves that are as bold as they are cold-blooded. The first domino to fall? Jerry Jeudy. And let's be real, this wasn't a surprise to anyone paying attention. Yes, Jeudy had to resume. Yes, he had a name. But none of that mattered once Monken laid out what this new Cleveland offense would look like. This wasn't about whether Jeudy could contribute. This was about whether he fit. And by every metric Monken cares about, the answer was no. Jeudy's game is polished, but it's built for a different era, one that relies on timing routes, short area precision, and possession plays. Monken's vision is the opposite. He's building around verticality, explosiveness, and the kind of deep ball aggression that demands a different kind of receiver. That's why Jeudy wasn't just sidelined. He was phased out. This wasn't reactionary. It was premeditated. The data said it. The film backed it. And Sanders' style confirmed it. Jeudy's lack of synergy with his quarterback wasn't fluke. It was a result of two fundamentally misaligned skill sets. Monken didn't ignore it. He acted on it. In his place, Brian Thomas Jr. Now that's the kind of receiver that fits Monken's blueprint. Big, fast, fearless, and already proven. Thomas Jr. didn't just flash potential. He delivered with 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns in his rookie year. And that was with a Jaguars offense that couldn't even get out of its own way. It's no coincidence that Thomas Jr.'s production dipped just as Jacksonville brought in Shane Waldron, a coordinator known for sapping receiver value like it's a side gig. That regression, it didn't scare Cleveland. It made him available. Monken sees what others might miss. Thomas Jr. underachieved because of dysfunction, not talent. He was buried in a system that didn't use him properly. Cleveland isn't just offering him a fresh start. They're offering him a system tailored to amplify his strengths. That's not a rehab project. That's an opportunity for dominance. And the price? A first-round pick. There are people who call that reckless. Those are the same people still drafting for value and wondering why their team is 6-11. The Browns are done collecting maybe. They're chasing certainty. Brian Thomas Jr. isn't a shot in the dark. He's a calculated bet with data behind it. He's the kind of weapon you get when you're serious about building around your quarterback's real-time rise, not a theoretical one. And let's talk about Shedeur Sanders for a second, because none of this happens without him. You don't rip apart a receiver room, shift your entire offensive identity, and surrender premium capital unless you know the guy under center is worth it. And clearly Monken knows. The Pro Bowl wasn't just a nice accolade. It was confirmation. Sanders has the arm talent, the poise, the decision-making, and the leadership to be the guy. And that means the team around him can't be average. It has to be aligned, explosive, and fully in sync with what he does best. That's what this entire overhaul is about. You see it in every decision, not just with the wideouts, but in the offensive line restructuring, the coaching hires, and a renewed focus on tight end versatility. It's all funneling toward one goal: maximize Shedeur Sanders now, not eventually. Now, there's no interest in the maybe Jeudy improves next year argument. That's gone. There's no appetite for George Pickens' talent plus drama combo either. The Browns don't want volatility. They want cohesion. Thomas Jr. offers that, and he brings a bonus: pre-existing chemistry patterns that can be tracked back to his college days with Jaden Daniels, a QB with a strikingly similar profile to Sanders. That's not just anecdotal. That's predictive. The kind of proxy relationship that smart coaches love because it lowers risk. You've already seen Thomas Jr. click with a quarterback who shares Sanders' mechanics, pressure handling, and arm strength. So the transition isn't hypothetical. It's already been modeled. That level of intentionality defines Monken's approach. He's not reworking the playbook every time a new player arrives. He's sourcing talent that already fits the playbook and fits Sanders. That's why Jeudy's route tree didn't survive this shift. That's why Thomas Jr.'s deep threat capabilities are being prioritized. That's why the offense is finally starting to look like a system, not a collection of parts hoping to find rhythm. There's also something quietly radical about how Monken is involving Sanders in the decision-making process. This isn't just a top-down overhaul. The implication is clear. Sanders had input. He identified the areas where he needed more from his receivers: more separation, more vertical options, more reliability when things break down. Monken didn't ignore that. He responded to it. That quarterback-coach alignment, that's what builds dynasties. It's rare to see a franchise not only trust a young quarterback this much, but actively build around his feedback. That tells you everything you need to know about how seriously Cleveland is taking this window. This isn't a rebuild. This isn't a bridge year. This is the start of a contender arc. And everyone's either on board or out of the way. There's no margin left for nostalgia. Jeudy had his shot. He gave them consistency when they needed it, but now they need explosiveness. He offered polish, but now they need raw danger. This isn't about emotion. It's about alignment. And Monken has made it clear. Every roster decision will now be filtered to the lens of, does this help Sanders reach his ceiling? If the answer is anything short of absolutely, then the decision is already made. This is how good teams become great. Not by sitting around waiting for players to catch up, but by setting the standard and demanding that everyone else elevate. The Browns didn't just flip a receiver. They flipped the tone of the entire franchise. No more waiting for development. No more relying on potential. No more safe bets. It's win now. Compete now. Surround Sanders with the weapons he needs. Now. Brian Thomas Jr. fits that mold. Jerry Jeudy, for all his upside, doesn't. It really is that simple. So what do you think? Is Monken making the right call, pushing for proven explosiveness over past production? Does Brian Thomas Jr. unlock the full version of this offense? Or is Cleveland overestimating the risk of moving on from Jeudy? Should other teams be following this quarterback-first blueprint? Or is this a high-stakes gamble only a few franchises can afford to make? Let us know where you stand in the comments. If you're backing the Browns' new direction, hit like. And if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? There's more chaos coming, and we're breaking it all down, one bold move at a time. Let's go even deeper, because when a team like Cleveland does as much this fast, it's not just about football anymore. It's about identity, culture, control, and right now, Todd Monken is taking control in a way we haven't seen from this franchise in years. Think about where the Browns have been, stuck in quarterback purgatory, rotating coaches like clockwork, clinging to whatever version of maybe was floating around the depth chart. There was always talent on paper. There were always flashes on tape. But when it came time to commit to a vision, Cleveland froze. Safe bets, soft resets, waiting games. Until now, Shedeur Sanders changed that. When Sanders got that Pro Bowl nod, it didn't just validate him. It exposed everyone else. It drew a line in the sand. Suddenly, anyone on that offense who wasn't elevating to his level wasn't just underperforming. They were holding the team back. And Monken knew it. That's why Jeudy was never going to survive this shift. Not because he was bad, but because he was fine. And fine doesn't fit when your quarterback is already playing above expectation and your fan base is tired of excuses. Jeudy's route running? Sharp. His footwork? Clean. His numbers? Respectable. But when it came time to sync up with Sanders, when it really counted, he didn't pop. He didn't win deep. He didn't threaten secondaries. And Monken saw exactly what that meant. The offense couldn't evolve until that position group did. So he acted. Now we're here, with the Browns preparing to send a first-round pick for Brian Thomas Jr. And let's be absolutely clear, this isn't a desperation move. It's precision. Thomas Jr. doesn't represent potential. He represents evidence. Evidence that a big-bodied, explosive receiver can thrive alongside an athletic quarterback who throws on the move. Evidence that timing-based rapport from the college level can translate to the pros when the system supports it. Evidence that Monken doesn't just believe in Sanders. He believes in maximizing him today. Let's talk about that fit. Thomas Jr.'s game is vertical by default. He doesn't need a 5-yard window or perfectly choreographed spacing to be effective. He wins on pure athleticism. He stretches the defense, pulls safeties out of alignment, and creates chaos downfield. That's what Monken wants. That's what Sanders needs. And that's why the Jeudy conversation was never just about production. It was about trajectory, because this isn't just about the 2024 season. It's about laying a foundation for something that can last. Sanders is the cornerstone. Thomas Jr. is the steel reinforcement. You build from there. And let's not forget, this isn't just a wide receiver swap. It's a total offensive reframe. The wide-out room is just the first piece. Behind it, the line is being reshaped to give Sanders more mobility lanes and more time for deep routes to develop. Tight ends are being repurposed into hybrid blockers who can release down the seam. And the staff? Realigned to make sure every coach on that offensive side is fluent in the same vertical language. It's not subtle. It's a purge. And not everyone's going to survive it. Because when you move this fast, with this level of clarity, you leave people behind. That includes players. That includes assistants. It might even include some front office perspectives that were comfortable with slow builds and development curves. Monken doesn't have time for that. Sanders is ready now. The AFC is stacked now. The opportunity is now. You either get on board or get out of the way. And in that environment, Jeudy, despite his resume, despite his polish, became obsolete, not because of attitude, not because of effort, but because the scheme no longer needed what he was offering. It's brutal, but it's the truth. And this is what separates Cleveland from so many other teams right now. They're not tinkering. They're overhauling. They're not waiting for things to fall into place. They're forcing it. You can see it in how they handled alternatives, too. George Pickens? Off the table. Too much volatility. Too many off-field questions. Not worth the locker room strain. The draft? Also a no. Too slow. Too uncertain. The Browns aren't looking to develop a deep threat. They're looking to install one. Brian Thomas Jr. is that install. Yes, he had a drop in confidence late in the season. Yes, his usage declined. But look at the context. Jacksonville's offensive structure was falling apart. They hired Shane Waldron, and everything went sideways. If anything, that's a gift for Cleveland. It created a buying window for a top-end asset who just needs a real system again. And Monken's system? It's tailor-made for a player like Thomas Jr. He's not going to be asked to carry the whole offense. He's going to be asked to break it open, to do the one thing Jeudy couldn't consistently do, change games in a single play. That's what the Browns are banking on. That's why they're putting a first-rounder on the table. Because they're not just investing in a receiver, they're investing in certainty. And in today's NFL, that kind of decisiveness is rare. You know what else it does? It tells Sanders, we hear you. It tells him, we believe in you. And it tells the league, we're not here to babysit a quarterback. We're here to weaponize one. That kind of move resonates. It shifts the power dynamic inside the locker room. It signals to every player on that roster that their job is now to keep up with Sanders, not the other way around. Monken gets that, and he's building accordingly. There's no more tiptoeing around expectations. No more. We'll see how the chemistry develops. That phase is over. This offense is shifting from cautious to aggressive, and every player is going to feel that difference. If you're not built for verticality, suddenness, and high-leverage execution, you're not playing. If you're not in sync with what Sanders is seeing on the field, you're not on the field. And if you're not giving Cleveland a shot to win right now, you're gone. That's not drama. That's direction. And it's why the Jeudy chapter is closing, not in scandal, but in strategy. It's why Thomas Jr. is the next chapter, not as a savior, but as a solution. This is how contenders are built, not through hype, through fit, through vision, through action. And now, here we are. The Cleveland Browns, yes, those Browns, are leading one of the most aggressive, strategically deliberate transformations in the NFL right now. The same franchise that spent decades locked in a cycle of quarterback carousel chaos, half-measure coaching hires, and roster moves dictated by desperation, is suddenly building with purpose. Not noise, not nostalgia. Purpose. That purpose starts with Shedeur Sanders. His Pro Bowl selection didn't just flip the script. It lit it on fire. The second the league saw what he was capable of, everything changed. His processing speed, arm talent, mobility, and poise under pressure didn't just surprise people. It exposed a lot of them, defenses, analysts, even his own teammates. Because when a rookie quarterback performs like that, everybody else gets put under the microscope. And guess who ended up under the brightest one? Jeudy. You can't talk about Monken's plan without talking about Jeudy's exit. And you can't talk about Jeudy's exit without acknowledging what Monken's actually saying here. We're not dragging anyone forward who isn't already moving at the speed we need to win. This isn't a shot at Jeudy's effort or discipline. This is a coach saying out loud what so many teams are too afraid to say. Good players don't always fit great quarterbacks. Jeudy's game is what it's always been, crisp, calculated, intermediate. He excels on sharp breaking routes and timing-based schemes. If your quarterback is hitting quick reads and staying within structure, Jeudy's valuable. But when you have a guy like Sanders, who extends plays, attacks deep, and operates with layered reads, Jeudy's route profile becomes limited. He stops being a weapon and starts being an anchor, and Monken saw that. So what did he do? He didn't reshuffle. He didn't test tweaks in camp. He didn't wait until mid-season to confirm what the tape already showed. He made a clean break, not emotional, just necessary. Because while the rest of the league was still debating whether Jeudy had more to offer, Monken was already scanning for someone who offered what the Browns actually needed. Brian Thomas Jr. isn't just that guy. He's the guy. Let's go back to the numbers. 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, all in a rookie campaign. That's not speculation. That's production at the NFL level. And sure, he hit turbulence in the second half of the season, but let's not pretend that was a mystery. The second Shane Waldron entered the building in Jacksonville, the offense went off the rails. Creativity plummeted. Wide receiver usage got wonky. And Thomas Jr., like many young receivers before him, paid the price. What matters is what he showed before that dysfunction. Speed, vertical separation, high point ability, instant acceleration off the line, and most importantly, the ability to connect with a mobile quarterback who plays off script. His time with Jaden Daniels at LSU was basically a highlight reel of everything Monken wants to replicate with Shedeur Sanders. That kind of synergy doesn't just happen. It's not chemistry in the romanticized sense. It's repetition, trust, shared instincts in high-pressure moments. And Monken's betting, smartly, that Thomas Jr. can replicate that dynamic with Sanders, because that's the whole point. This isn't about slotting in a wide receiver to fill a hole. This is about installing the missing piece to elevate a franchise quarterback who's already shown he's ready for more. The Browns don't need another possession guy. They need a problem. A field-tilting, defense-shifting, vertical nightmare. They need someone who makes corners panic and safeties backpedal before the ball is even snapped. That's what Thomas Jr. brings. And it's exactly what Jeudy never offered in this system. So now you're seeing the whole picture. This move isn't controversial. It's inevitable because Monken doesn't just want to win. He wants to win his way. And that means every player on offense has to fit one question. Can you maximize Shedeur Sanders? If the answer isn't a loud, clear yes, you're gone. That philosophy is bleeding through the entire organization. From top to bottom, the Browns are making it known that every decision, draft, trade, scheme, personnel, is going to orbit around QB1. Sanders isn't being protected. He's being enabled. There's a difference. He's not being coddled with conservative system or spoon-fed a rookie-friendly offense. Monken knows what he has. He's building out the artillery now because Sanders has already proved he can handle it. That's why they're willing to give up a first-round pick. They don't need more youth to develop. They need proven fit. And Thomas Jr. isn't theoretical. He's validated. You know exactly what you're getting. And you know exactly what you're removing by sending Jeudy out the door, a player who doesn't elevate the quarterback you decided to build around. So this isn't a gamble. It's strategy, calculated urgency, controlled aggression, and it sends another message to the rest of the roster. You want a spot on this offense? You better be ready to keep up. You better understand that Monken isn't calling plays to hit yardage quotas. He's calling plays to win, period. If you're not stretching the field, if you're not creating mismatches, if you're not executing under pressure or syncing with Shedeur's timing, you're replaceable. That kind of clarity changes everything. It forces the entire building to raise its standard. Because when your franchise quarterback earns his crown instead of being handed it based on hype, the organization either sharpens or shatters. The Browns? They're sharpening. Fast. They've overhauled the offensive line to buy Sanders more time. They're tweaking their tight end packages to keep defenses guessing. And now, with Thomas Jr. on the radar, they're finalizing the part that matters most. His receiving core, not receivers. His receivers. That kind of intentionality is new for Cleveland, and it's powerful. This isn't just about a QB and a WR. This is about momentum, about culture, about a franchise that's finally aligning every piece around a shared identity. Shedeur Sanders is the centerpiece. Brian Thomas Jr. is the next move. And Monken? He's the architect, laying brick by brick, with no tolerance for second guesses. So what do you think? Was this the right call for Cleveland? Did Jeudy deserve more time? Or was Monken right to cut clean and chase what actually fits? Is Brian Thomas Jr. the perfect complement to Shedeur Sanders? Or is this move riskier than it looks? Hit the comments and drop your take. Like, if you're backing Monken's bold blueprint. And make sure to subscribe. Because if this is how the Browns are moving in February, the rest of this offseason is about to be a masterclass in controlled chaos. You don't want to miss what's next.